Recently, I've done a couple of episodes on the small capacity motorcycles, whether naked by BMW the 310 or the superbike by TVS the Apache. I have rediscovered after 35 years of motorcycling how much fun these small capacity motorcycles really are. You cannot be lazy in the gearbox. There's no torque to ride you out of trouble. You have to be in the right gear, work the throttle, clutch and gearbox, and really hone your skills again. So I've rediscovered how much fun they are, and they're not just for novices and newbies into the biking lifestyle. And I've looked at a naked, I've looked at a superbike, and today I'm going to look at an adventure tourer, if you want to call it. Here behind me, the 2023 Kawasaki Versys X300. If you look at it, it looks like a mini adventure bike or tourer. And I'm going to share with you the specs on this bike and go for a ride and show you just how much fun and how competent these little machines are. Not too much tech, but enough tech to keep you safe, and really tons of fun, non-intimidating, light, nimble, but it hones your skills and you have so much fun. So here in front of me we have the 2023 Kawasaki Versys X300. They've been around since 2017. The category they fit into is the small capacity adventure off-road touring. It's an entry-level bike, it's lower price point, but super versatile. Being a small capacity, very fuel economical, so stunning for commuting. One of the striking features on this bike for me is that it's not a single. Most of these little 250, 300cc bikes are single pistons. Now this, the giveaway up here in front, you can see dual header pipes. The benefit of a twin, you have a twin cylinder, shorter stroke, which makes this a higher revving motor. Higher revving motor gives you more power, and that's what you want in a smaller capacity motorcycle. So all round, if you were to ask yourself then, why didn't they put the Ninja 400 motor into it? Well, then why not the 600? Why not the 1000? That's not the point. The point is you have a small capacity, the Versys X300. And really combination, light, nimble, parallel twin works for me. It's a perfect entry-level adventurer, beginner bike. It's fuel economical, it's light, it's comfortable, makes a perfect commuter. For ladies or smaller people of smaller stature, a stunning bike. And even for me, who's been traveling 35 years on motorcycles, 6-foot frame, I still have heaps of fun on this motorcycle. But let me jump right in and talk about the specs in more detail, starting with this motor. Starting with the motor, it is a parallel twin, as I mentioned. The two header pipes, the radiator, so it is a 4-stroke parallel twin, double overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, liquid cooled. Exact cc is 296cc. That's why it's called a 300. Horsepower on this motor is 39 horsepower at 11,500 RPM, so you can see higher revving. So 39 horsepower is about 29 kilowatts. Newton meter torque is 26 Newton meter at 10,000 RPM. All goes through a wet multi-plate clutch, manual through a 6-speed gearbox, final drive chain. If we talk about suspension, you have your traditional telescopic front forks, 41mm, non-adjustable, travel 130mm. At the rear you have the dual swing arm, you have a spring preload adjustable suspension, 150mm travel, which is really nice amount of travel for a bike like this. Talking about brakes, you'll see single disc front and rear pedal design. Up front a 290mm disc, 2-piston caliper, and you can see the ABS ring, ABS sensor, which is an option on these bikes. Going to the back, single disc, 220mm ABS again, and 2-piston. On the wheel side of things, these spoked wire wheels, they look the part when it comes to adventure bike. They are also the stronger of the wheels versus the the cast wheels. So not the big 21-inch off-road wheel, it's overkill on a bike like this. You have a nice 19-inch front combo with a 17-inch at the back, shod with a 100 and a 130. All round stunning mix, stunning combination, and it does look the part. On that point, seat height 845. I call that low for an adventure bike. It is same as about a super bike or something like that. They're about 820 to 840, but when you're talking adventure bike, it is a low seat height. Your ground clearance is still 180 mil, and your fuel capacity is 17 liters. Now 17 liters with a small capacity motor, Euro 5, really good economy, 28 kilometers per liter, range plus or minus 300 kilometers, and the top speed is claimed round about the 128 kilometers per hour. Now, when I talk about electronics or tech or rider aids, one of my gripes would be that this headlight is still a halogen. Now, in today's day and age, that should really be LED. I think the taillight on this is LED already. This windshield is a really nice height. However, only 4 bolts, so you can fit an aftermarket should you want a taller screen and all of that. The red line on this bike is 12,000 RPM, so you can see it's higher revving. The dashes, part analog, part LCD, we'll go through that now. And you have a gear indicator on the dash, which is really cool, especially for novices to understand what gear to be in and how to learn and hone your riding skills. You also have a slipper assist clutch, which is fantastic, especially for a beginner. If you don't rev match and you're just outside, this bike won't punish you for it. Another cool feature on this bike is this rear rack. Now, if you look at this rear rack, it's on the same level as the seat. The rear rack also has hooks over here, has pre-drilled holes for a top box or these bars. Now, all over here, you can hook in those hooks for the bungee cords and that. And if you don't have a top box, or you want to put a soft shell bag or a duffel bag and you want to put it right up to here to have a backrest, it all works. So really practical, and step down for the rider so you're comfortable. That's another cool little feature on this bike. Accessories that are available for this bike, one of the cool ones is the center stand. So if you're doing gravel roads like here and you want to do chain maintenance, you put it on the center stand and you can do chain maintenance without help. You can fit crash bars. The crash bars Kawasaki has LED spotlights, and you can fit these hand guards over here, make it more of an adventure bike. Going to the front, over here you can fit your 12-volt charger. Over here you can fit your switch should you want to go with the spotlight. And if I switch this on, you'll see that the RPMs are analog. Over here's your gear indicator. You've got a clock, you've got your fuel level here, your temperature gauge here, your odo reading, your range reading, and your speed. So all round, stunning, practical. I love this new modern stealthy matte green look to it. Overall, a stunning bike. But I think now it's time to jump on, go for that ride, and share with you just how much fun this bike can really be. Right, helmet on, gloves on, jacket on, safety gear. Let's go for a ride. The key is still a traditional key. It's not a keyless. And as you can see from a cockpit, really nice. I like the screen. All the controls, simple, user-friendly, non-intimidating, this motorcycle in every possible way. So side stand has to be up. Here we go. The exhaust note, very subdued, quiet. I personally like a little bit of a louder noise. Loud pipes save lives, but I'm sure there are aftermarket solutions for this bike. Pulling off. You can see it is gentle, and as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a perfect bike to hone your riding skills. You can learn to ride gravel. It's not a heavy bike, and it handles it. The suspension, have a look at this corrugated road. Perfect. We're going to do a bit of gravel, we're going to do a bit of tar and some twisties, and just I will be in the wrong gear here or there to show you how bad it actually is if you're in the wrong gear, because there is no torque to speak of to pull you out should you be in the wrong gear. Have a look at the speed bump ahead. I'm hitting it at 55 kilometers per hour. Handles it well. Superb suspension, plenty travel. 150 at the back, 130 I think it was in the front. And here we can do 60 plus kilometers an hour on the gravel. Corrugation. Handles it. Stunning. It soaks up all the bumps. I don't think this is the hardcore machine where you're going to do like river crossings and that, but that's not what beginners are going to do and not what you're going to do with a bike like this. However, super competent, sure-footed. ABS is great as well for gravel if you need to brake quickly. But if you look at this corrugation and the change of terrain, it is effortless on this bike. The gear selection also smooth. It's positive. You know you got the gear. You feel a little bit of resistance, but it's not of a nature that makes you feel like you're crashing a gearbox or sloppy that you don't know if you got the gear or not. Now here from my third gear, 3000 rolling out. Have a look at that. I'm 2,500 RPM. It's spluttering a little bit and it comes out from 4,000 RPM. So 4,000 RPM is great. Rev it and another speed bump. Flying over it at 60 kilometers an hour. And if you use the gearbox and you go through the gears up and down, really a whole lot of fun when you get your head into the game. And here we go. I was too high again. I should have been down in second, but it didn't die on me. It's great. You can definitely see it's a higher revving motor than the traditional singles. I'm at 100 kilometers an hour already when I'm only meant to be doing speed limit of 80. So you're not a moving obstacle here. It doesn't scare you. You're not going to get flicked off. You're not going to high side yourself, and you can really grab a handful of throttle. And again, you can learn to feed it in, feed the power as you want. Important, always downshift on a bike like this. I've noticed if I get to the traffic light and I'm in fifth gear or higher gear and I'm trying to in standstill get it down to first gear, sometimes it doesn't really want to go, so you have to let the clutch out, in and out once or twice, but not a problem. Getting neutral, easy, no problem. It's not one of those bikes you have to struggle and go from first to second. Have a look at this pull off. Over 100 already, and you can see you'll leave most cars behind in traffic if you want to go through the front. Starting off seated position, perfectly neutral. I'm sitting upright, dead straight, my arms forward, elbows bent. If you look, it's wide handlebars, they lift up from here. You could fit handlebar risers underneath here, but they come up nicely. So if I were to stand now, I'm standing, I'm not leaning forward, my hands, arms are straight and very comfortable. So if you're sitting for longer periods of time and you want to relieve the pressure on your bum, you can stand up and hold the handlebars without leaning forward. So comfortable, handlebars come up enough to stand, handlebars are wide enough for slow maneuverability in traffic, lane splitting. Good feel on the rear brakes doing the slow maneuvering. Again, at this traffic light we'll do a bit of a roll on. So you see the first gear is quite short, but it's a fun thing. You wring its neck and you go through the box. Stunning. Comfort wise, mid-mounted pegs, your thighs slope down, they fit nicely under this ridge over here. If you look, they slope down, mid-mounted pegs. You can move your heels or toes forward and back to make it even more comfortable. A lot of space on the seat to move forward right up to the front of the tank to sit in a more motocross style, elbows out, or move right back on the seat, because where it goes up to the pillion seat, it then gives you that support right at the back. Comfortable riding position, so you can move forward or back to have really mid-mount pegs or a little bit sportier riding style where the feet are a little bit under your bum. Cushioning of the seat, traditional adventure bike. Not wallowy, too spongy, but very, very comfortable. I could easily do 3 hours in the saddle. That 300-kilometer range, perfect. You will sit 300 kilometers without having a problem, and if there's a problem, you can continue riding and stand for a few minutes as well. The screen, the wind protection for day-to-day commuting, perfect. If you're in rain, yeah, you will get wet. Helmet, neck maybe, and shoulders and arms. However, for day-to-day commuting, perfect. It is quiet, not too noisy. If you're touring, you can get yourself a little bit of a taller screen or those aftermarket add-ons. No complaints from my side. I think perfect. Non-adjustable, as mentioned, the screen, it is fixed with 4 bolts. It does not adjust up or down. Rearview mirrors come up nice, wide. They're outside my shoulders, so I don't have to move to see. No vibrations really to speak of. Visibility really great on this bike. And the main thing is you sit like an adventure bike. You sit on top, you sit high up, wide handlebars, so your contact with this bike is great. The tank is slim where your thighs are underneath the ridge. You can grab that tank with your thighs if you're doing sporty riding around twisties, canyon carving, and feeling control of this motorcycle. Good balance. I didn't even put my feet down over there. Wringing its neck, going through the box again. It's not gonna set your hair on fire, but wonderful. The vibrations, not over the top, but you can feel the vibrations in your feet. It has rubber inserts. You can just feel the vibrations, and you can from that know exactly when to change. So top gear, 6th gear, 94 kilometers an hour. I'm sitting at 7,000 RPM. Vibration in the handlebars a little bit, not too disruptive. As you can see, lane splitting, wonderful, easy, maneuverable motorcycle. The bike hides its weight well. It feels like a little, tiny little 125. Here we go, little street racer. No, all round. On a serious note, it is definitely a small capacity motorcycle, so if you're used to that 100 horsepower plus, this is not a 200 horsepower, but your big adventure bikes, the 1200s by the Europeans and Austrians, even the Japanese, you're talking nowadays 120, 140 horsepower, the big bikes. That's not what this is. This is a bike to have fun, to commute, and to get into the adventure riding. The horsepower is enough to get tickets. It's also enough to have a whole lot of fun. And the pros on this is obviously the economy, the range. It's practical with nowadays road conditions, with potholes, especially here in South Africa. You've got good wheels, you've got good suspension travel, you've got an ideal ergonomics to sit, not to get fatigued, and your economy is minimal. A small capacity motorcycle is obviously always cheaper to do maintenance on. So in today's day and age, with the economy where it's going and the currencies, this is a perfect option to commute, ride, and have some fun. If you have a look, sporty, spirited riding, definitely possible. You have to go through the box to run the compression. Here we can make this gap before the lanes merge. As you can see, spirited riding, heaps of fun, and just loving it, loving life. Doing a bit of hooligan traveling here, lane splitting, crossing all the way to the other side and going through the box. The brakes, definitely not superbike stoppers, but for this capacity motorcycle, here we go, rolling on again, is ample. Again, spirited riding or leisurely commuting, for what it is and for what you pay for, it's heaps of motorcycle and heaps of fun. In our day, in the 80s, when we learned to ride bikes, we didn't have bikes like this. We didn't have the technology, we didn't have the comfort like this, we didn't have the suspension nor the brakes, yet we loved our motorcycles, and the memories we cherish today, 30 years on, we still cherish. So these are the types of bikes that will define your future when it comes to motorcycling. These are the bikes that get you into motorcycling safely, that you want to stay a biker. One thing I've noticed with the brakes, you really have to be how do I say, positive with the brakes, or affirmative. You need to really grab those brakes and progressive pull them back. It's not something you can just feather the brakes. You have to pull them back and grab them hard, and then they will definitely stop. This bike will stop. You got to trust in the ABS, and you got to pull those levers, and you will see the front will dive down and stop you. If I do a quick test, there's no one behind me. If I grab the levers, you see the front dive quite strongly. So progressive braking, strong enough for what it is and for the weight of this bike. The layout of the dash is also clear and easy to read. It's not too minimalistic, but I would still classify it as minimalistic. One glance down, you can see your RPMs. The gear selector, you can see the gears nice and big, and your speed, your RPMs. Those are the three things you really need to know when you learn to ride bike. If you look a little bit more careful, you can see your fuel, your temperature, all the other information, but that you can do when you don't have too much traffic in front of you. But clear, concise, all the levers are big enough for me to grab with my thumbs. It's intuitive, I know where everything is, it feels good, it's not bouncing around. The levers, lever action, whether brake or clutch lever, is soft. The soft feel to it, progressive, and that's where I went wrong at the beginning with the brake lever. I had to pull it harder than I expected. The others, bigger bikes, they feel more power assisted. Here you have to be firm with the lever on the front brakes. The back brakes feel normal and positive. Gives you good feel when doing slower avoidance maneuvering or lane splitting and balancing the bike. But you can see, one hand riding, it handles well. You are not too high, not too tall. When I stand at the traffic light, you will see both feet are flat on the ground, knees are bent plenty. Here selecting neutral, simple. If you have a look, knees bent, feet flat, very comfortable. I'm going to take a stab at this. All the traffic lights are out again. You can see I'm really having a lot of fun, and I'm not wobbling around. I'm not an obstacle to traffic. I can run the speed of the traffic. Here you go. This is where I've been struggling. If you don't downshift timeously before you come to a standstill, sometimes the lever does not want to grab another gear unless you open the clutch again. So it really hones your skills. It gets that laziness out of you. I mean, I must say I've also got some bad habits after all these years, and they could be worked out on a stunning little machine like this. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, these small capacity bikes, they're really not to be overlooked. They're not boring, they're not cumbersome and a nuisance. They're heaps of fun. And even if you're used to riding spirited or you're riding bigger bikes, the minute you get onto it and you just change your mindset a little bit. I mean, we all love to watch Moto3 riders and the way they keep their corner speed and all of that. That's how you ride this thing. You keep your corner speed, you get out of that bad habit of pointed squirt, over braking in a straight line and then wobbling around the corner. You learn that you just retard enough your speed and keep a lot of speed, run through the bend and just have good fun. You want a bit of lean angle, you want to carry a bit of corner speed. Now if you have too much horsepower, we tend to overbrake because we scare ourselves into the corner. On a bike like this, you're not going to scare yourself. You brake a little bit, retard the speed, drop it a gear or two and just run the bend on the power. Heaps of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this short little ride review of this stunning Kawasaki Versys X300. Stunning little motorcycle. I'm a big fan of it. Big thumbs up to Kawasaki for this machine. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up. Most important of all, guys, please hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel. And if you like, the reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading something new.